welcome to Dropped In, Carly. I am elated to welcome you to our community and to drop in with you today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I just love you, Carly. Carly and I met in a mastermind for writing our damn book probably a year and a half ago now. I'm so excited to get into the nitty gritty of your book and all the things that are going to unveil today. I would love for you to share who you are and what you do.
My name's Carly Ottaway. I am the founder of Web of Words, a boutique marketing agency. We really specialize in helping small businesses amplify their message and share their mission with the world, major social change ultimately, and inspiring big shifts with their audience. So I've been doing this for 10 years. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary for Web of Words. And it feels like a timely shift and transformation for me to step into this next chapter, which is really practicing what I preach and stepping into the power of my own story and sharing that in a way that I never have before through my first solo book coming out this fall. Can't believe it. Lifelong dream. And it's finally happening. And it feels so surreal still, like pinch me. I've always loved writing. It's always been my passion. Since I was a little girl, I played Harriet the Spy, looking out the window of my small town, telling the stories of people's lives. I got into journalism. I got to interview some incredible people, Canadian icons in that space, and share their stories. And I started my own business, working with small business owners and helping them share their stories and tap into their own power. And now I'm getting to do that in a new way.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. I'm flooded with shivers, which is always a great sign to get started. So there's so much juiciness. First and foremost, congrats on 10 years. That is something to celebrate. Yeah.
It feels wild. Where does the time go?
And, I love seeing what you're up to on social media. And I see that you're in more and more speaking engagements. Has that always been a part of your journey, or is that something that's fairly new?
No, I have always been comfortable hiding behind the keyboard. And I always identified I communicate best as the writer. It was hard for me to step into my speaker era, as I call it. But it ultimately came from this whole transformation of deep surrender and letting go of control and trusting in my own voice, going from feeling like I had to have everything scripted, aiming for that level of perfectionism, because as a writer, I can always edit my work. Whereas
Right.
speaking is a whole other level. It's been fun for me to tap into that and really show up authentically in a whole new way. I'm loving it. I love podcast conversations, like just where, letting it flow and how genuine the conversation is. And then, yeah, it's been so fun and so scary to step on stages and share my story that way too.
Oh, from what I see, it just looks like you're a natural. It's like you've done it your entire life. So you look so
Oh,
graceful and it looks like it's so effortless, which I know it isn't. Speaking on stage is a beast of its own, right?
well, thank you for that. I do remember my grade 7, grade 8 self who did the speech competitions, and I actually won a couple speech competitions back then. So if I am really honest, I did have that part of me as well, but I hid it over time,
Mm-hmm.
So she's coming back.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So let's talk about the book. So rewind. So what made you decide to join the mastermind in the first?
Yeah, I was actually the first one to jump in, which I love. That's happened a couple times, and that goes to just speak for where I've really learned to trust my intuition. I am a sacral authority in human design, so if it's a hell yes in the moment, I take that leap now, and I know. And that's how it felt with Marsha and jumping into the mastermind. And it was really just like finally taking action on this dream. That was my second kind of big step. I actually also hired a storytelling coach, not so much to help me learn how to tell a story, because I know that, but actually it was really powerful. He was a powerful mirror reflecting back what I am able to do for my clients. And, we always need our own medicine, right? I often say that even copywriters need a copywriter. We need someone to mirror that back to us. So that was a big move that I took. And I'm investing dollars, energy into this, taking it seriously, actually making it happen, because I also have 2 young kids. I've had a lot going on. And it's been really challenging to make space for it, let alone running a business and all the things that come with that. Joining the mastermind was another big step in really taking it seriously. And I just trusted what would unfold. And it was such a beautiful container, so supportive, getting to connect with you and meeting the other authors and just showing up with where we're at on that journey to becoming the author we're meant to be and telling our stories. I absolutely love that. I think it's
Yeah.
so important.
I've joined 2 other different book writing members. They
Mm.
weren't necessarily masterminds, but I know what was most supportive was the subconscious change work. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it's such an individual journey, right? And I really believe you can't rush it. I don't believe in the whole write your book in 30 days. To me, even attempting to do that, you're just cutting yourself short of so much of the journey and the transformation that comes with it. Absolutely. It's all the subconscious reprogramming. And it was a massive identity
Mm.
shift for me and such an evolution. It's also really cool in the book because there's some chapters, obviously, they've gone through an editing process now. We're stepping into the main stages of the editing. I wrote them 2 years ago, and even some were pulled from journal entries before then. So it also feels like the reader gets to come on this journey with me in the book. As I was living in the messy middle, I was still writing and creating without knowing what that was going to become or how it would live in the book. Like a lot of it wasn't clear to me
Mhm.
until I got to the other side. And then I had that moment of clarity and literally like a year and a half into the journey, if not 2 years, actually. It was probably about 2 years into the journey that it really hit me, and I was like, "This is the story I meant to tell," and then it just poured
Mhm.
out of me.
Ah, love it. I can't wait
Uh,
to read it. So proud of you. I think you, out of all the people in that our mastermind, are the one that had actually completed the book so far.
Maybe, which
Yeah,
makes sense if I was the first one to join.
totally.
I can't wait to go to everyone's book launch parties and
Right?
celebrate.
100%. So I really want to dive into the book, but I also want to speak into the storytelling coach. Was it Alex Street that you worked with?
Yes,
Love
of course.
him. He is
Yes.
so incredible. So how did that help support you in getting more clear?
Like I said, it really was him being that mirror for me and
Mhm.
reflecting back. Ultimately, the biggest takeaway was experiencing the power of what he was doing for me and finding that clarity. It helped me have that much more confidence, appreciation, passion, and fire for what I do and what we do as a team at Web of Words for our clients. It's
Mhm.
different because it's not so much coaching. It's we are very much like done for you services, but it's evolved beyond that. I did feel like there was this gap between the done for you copywriting of like, here's your brand message, here's your website copy, like hand it off to you, now you go. There was a gap with the business owner truly embodying that story and that transformation and that truth.
Mhm.
And so that's what I've been digging into more recently with different offers that we've had and just with my own work too, and really helping close that gap so that, not only do you have the power of us reflecting this back to you and writing the copy to reflect that, but you actually believe it subconsciously, internally, and you are embodying that message in the way that you show up in your business.
We have to practice what we preach, embody what we teach. And so I commend you for that. So let's hear about the book. Like, what inspired
Mm,
you to even want to write this book in the first place? Let's hear the
yeah.
backstory if that's all right with you.
It's always been on my list, and it's not like an ego, it's just literally like that childhood dream that I always had this fantasy of becoming an author, writing books, sharing stories, and it just took me a little while to get there. Limiting beliefs around not enoughness and feeling like, especially when it came to writing my book, I felt called. I've dabbled in fiction just for fun and creative, but I really wanted it to be a nonfiction book. And I had a lot of blocks around I need to be at this point in my business to be able to write a book about it. I need to be married and have had my own kids to be able to share this experience. I just had all these stories in my head that my story wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
Mm.
And so that is what I mean about the transformation and doing the subconscious work and the reprogramming is actually seeing like, no, my story's enough as it is right now. Things unfold in life to make it even more compelling and really push me along that path. And the universe has been nudging me like, this is the story that you need to share. But I had to do a lot of inner work to have that belief in myself. And I think that's been the most fulfilling part of this journey. And the book's not even out yet. And I'm so excited for what will come of that in terms of the connection with readers and the impact that sharing my story will have. I know it will have from sharing other stories and the impact that comes from that. I have so many expanders to lean on and emulate. But yeah, my own journey of truly believing in the power of my story and
Mhm.
stepping into that has been monumental.
Yes, so much so. And your childhood dreams have come true. How
Yeah.
incredible, right?
And it's so cool because my daughter is 6 now. She's my oldest. And now I see so much of my younger self in her. She's such a mirror for me. She likes to write in her journal and share these stories. And even my little guy, he just turned 4. And now, right now, at bedtime stories, he doesn't want to read. He's started this actually with his dad. It was a thing where he just wants to tell stories about when
Mhm.
he was born, when he was a baby, and all these little things. It's so cool to see all the different connections through storytelling and how they're excited and interested in. And a big part of the drive for me, too, is how cool is it that I get to share this, help them see through my lens at this season in my life as someone who struggles with my memory. I feel like I have the worst memory. What a gift it is to be able to share that with my kids that they can look back on one day too.
Totally. So, what is your book called?
The title is still not set in stone. I've had
Okay.
a lot of pings recently. I'm feeling a lot of clarity around it, but I can't say it yet. It could still shift in the final edit. It's had a bunch of different names, different working titles along the way. Ultimately, so much of it is about owning your own story, stepping into your authentic power, how to show up in that in motherhood, in business, growing a family, and all the messy middle of navigating the in between and the uncertainty of that. And really along the lines of leading from your intuition and letting go of control in order to show up as your truest self. I'm still practicing every time I say it.
I can imagine.
I'm saying something different every time.
Yeah. And
Instantly sweating. Instantly sweating.
I love it. I know there's a backstory that led to you writing the book, right? There was a powerful time in your life.
Absolutely powerful. It's the biggest metaphor for life. It was my own messy middle and in between. So just to rewind a little bit, I had my business before I had kids. I had an established business. Like I said, I'm 10 years in now. So I was 3 years in when I got pregnant with my daughter. I didn't know a lot of other business women that had an established business and then started a family. Most of the entrepreneurs that were moms I knew started their business because they wanted to stay home with their kids, right? And like finally left corporate. They were burnt out, ready for a change. So I had to navigate that on my own and really carve out my own path. And then, of course, we had an 18-month-old and, we're knee deep in growing the agency. And then COVID hit. And then we're suddenly doing it all without a village. I got pregnant and had our second child in 2021. I felt like we were just clawing out of total survival mode. The following year was January 2022. We also bought a house. We decided we wanted to move and buy this house to raise our kids in. It was a crazy time in the real estate market. We were constantly getting outbid. We were looking for 2 years. And then we found one off market. Our dog walker knew the owners, made the connection. I remember coming into the house and I mean, it was hideous on the inside. Like it had like this orange tile ceiling in the kitchen. And I was just like, this is not it. Like, this isn't happening. This is not the house. And then I walked out into the backyard and I saw these giant maple trees and it was an absolute dream. And we had seen so many houses at this point. And this was just like such a dream property. And I was like, okay, maybe this is the one. We went through the whole negotiating. We didn't think it was going to happen. It seemed like it was just going to fall through. And then it ended up that we got it. We got the house. Our budget pushed way out of the comfort zone, but we were doing it and we were renovating as well before we moved in. And then we were at the final stretch of the renovations. It was like 2.5 months of renovations. And at the time, we had a 2.5-year-old and a 9-month-old. And there was a fire. And it was a welding accident. No one was hurt. Luckily, we weren't moved in. We had moved in a little bit of stuff, but definitely not all of our belongings. And we lost everything. The whole house went up in flames. And it was a wild, shocking moment. I remember getting the call from my husband. The contractor called him when he was driving home from IKEA with the kids' new dressers that we got that we were going to start decorating their rooms the next day, or like the next 2 days, moving in some stuff more gradually. He called me from the highway after he talked to the contractor and he could see the smoke from the highway from our house. I remember after that call, waking up my little guy from his nap. He was 9 months old and just holding him. I just knew in that moment we were safe, like we were okay. I just felt like everything's going to be okay, despite literally our world being on fire, not knowing where we were going to live. We were supposed to be moving in 2 weeks. We had nowhere to go. So we had to find a rental property, we had to get insurance, start that whole journey, which led to a whole other can of worms because there was an issue with our insurance that had nothing to do with us, that for a little while we didn't know if we were covered for the biggest investment of our lives.
Oh my
And so it was a very stressful journey and a lot of uncertainty. I felt like we were living in this unknown of what was going to happen. Would we financially recover? What would it even look like? There was so much uncertainty with that. Meanwhile, we have a business with a full team, with a full client roster, and of course, two little ones that I refuse to put their childhood on pause. These are such crucial years, and I just didn't want them to feel like I would lose out on that time with them too. So I really immersed myself in living in the presence with them, and they kept that held me in that perspective, and we managed to rebuild, and now we're moved in and on the other side, and I have that wisdom that comes with hindsight to be able to share, hence the book, walking through that journey.
wow. I can't even imagine what that would have been like. And also in the same breath, not being moved in and holding your baby and just knowing that you're safe, right? Like
Yes,
it could have been a completely different story.
absolutely. In those moments, it reminded me, as much as it was a welding accident, it also makes you think for some reason we were not supposed to be in that house, and who knows what else could have happened. I do believe that it made the journey extra long and extra grueling, but it's worth it on the other side. And I feel like a totally different person as you do going through
Yeah.
these kinds of experiences. But what a metaphor for life, shedding that call to shed an old identity and like burn it all to the ground and start fresh. And I really feel like it did that to so many different areas of our lives and our business, and expanded our capacity in so many
Mhm.
ways.
The death and rebirth is real. Quite
Absolutely.
literally,
Yeah.
right? It's like the phoenix rising up from the ashes. That's how I see you.
Yeah.
You have a business that you built from the ground that's now 10 years. You have two young children under, well, 6 and 4, right?
Yes. Yes.
You, I would imagine, have a very full life. And
So,
you've also been through hell and back, right? The burning,
yeah.
the flames. And here you are writing a book. You've written the book, right? Like it's a big
Yes.
freaking deal, Carly. Have you acknowledged how big of a deal is this? Because I know so
Yeah.
many people, it's like, oh, one day I'm going to write a book, or I just don't have time to write the book. And it's like, if you really have that calling, whatever it is, whether it's a book, whatever that calling is, if it's meant for you and you believe it's that path for you, you will find a way.
Absolutely. And I just feel like now was my time. And that's what I mean about this is the story that I meant to share. And I do feel like I've celebrated that and paused to celebrate that. I feel like I'm in this in between again because it's with the editor. Like, oh my God, these old wounds, this full moon, these old wounds are resurfacing again of being in this uncertainty. What is this next version going to look like? But a deep trusting of knowing that what's going to come out on the other side is what's meant to be shared. I've given myself a tight deadline in that process because I work well under pressure. So it's a bit of a roller coaster, like businesses. The highs are high and the lows can be low, celebrating all of it and the growth that comes with that.
How are you supporting yourself right now with all that? I wrote a chapter in a book, and the vulnerability is real, right?
Yeah.
People are now going to see a completely different version of you through reading your book, right? So,
Oh
how are
my
you
God.
supporting
Yes.
yourself?
Yeah. With everything that went down in this experience, like the fire and coming out of parenting through the pandemic, I was very dysregulated. I went on my whole healing journey, tapped into breath work and a lot of somatic work and cold plunging and learned these modalities that have helped me find stillness and regulate it, especially for showing up in parenthood. Right now, just listening to the birds is one of my favorite things when I'm feeling dysregulated. I just go outside, sit on my
Mm.
deck, breathe, listen to the birds, get grounded. I'm finding a whole new growth edge with this because it's a whole new level of vulnerability. It's really cool because I feel like I'm expressing myself in a way that I never have. We live in this culture of short form content that never shares the full story or the full picture. But also my season of life of like it being very full and parenting and like even in my personal relationships, conversations are spent when I'm chasing kids around. Even with my husband, it's constantly like, mom from the other room. I'm not able to express myself. That was something that didn't really hit me until afterwards. I've now been reading the book back and I'm like, okay, wow, how freeing this sense of expression has been feels so good. But absolutely the most vulnerable thing I've ever done and shared. One thing that's happened in the last couple months is I have been breaking out in hives like every night. It feels connected. I'm sure it's a combination of things like stress, environmental. The pollen is crazy right now. I don't know what's going on. But I've been tapping into some new tools like doing acupuncture and revisiting my supplements to support me through that. But that's also been really challenging because I don't know what's going on with my body and why it's reacting this way, which is just stressful and frustrating to not have the answers. So I'm just navigating that and having to continue to find new ways to resource and really just make my body feel safe stepping into this next evolution, even if it's not directly connected. I know I feel another kind of sense of feeling unsafe. And with anything with being vulnerable, there's always the fear of judgment and fear of being misunderstood. But at the same time, I trust that the ones who don't get it, it's not meant for them. And there will be ones that get it and it hits deeply, I hope. And that's exactly who it's for.
The ones that won't get it are not in the arena.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter,
Exactly.
does it? Your biggest cheerleaders, your biggest fans like myself are just gonna be celebrating the heck out of you. Yeah.
And that sense of community has been massive. I'm planning my book launch party right now and just such genuine excitement from the people around me in my life. I feel so much gratitude for
Mhm.
that. Ultimately, I'm led by connection, and so much of what I do is rooted in that deep connection and community building. And so I've already won. And the book isn't even out there.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm a 2-4. So
Aha,
I'm a battle.
that tracks, right? Yes, the hermit and
Yeah.
the
I wanna be with people and then I wanna be with myself, so
yes.
when is the book launch? Do you have a date?
October 2nd is the date. Hopefully it sticks.
So the official published book will be available October 2nd.
I believe so. I
Oh,
don't know
this is so
exactly how it
good.
all works. I have to still figure out a lot of that with the publishing the journey, but yes, I think that's the plan.
Well, I'm just celebrating you, Carly. I'm just so excited for you and huge respect because I have been writing my book and it's like, I feel now I have 2 different books. 'Cause I'm like, I
Mhm.
want to change this book, but I'm like, no, that's that book and this is this book. They're 2 different books. I'm like, great, now there's 2 books.
Oh my god, I love that. I think that's such an important part of the journey too, though. There's just letting it all out, getting it all onto the page, and then realizing, okay, this actually isn't this book. This is the next book, or this is, that's part of the editing process too. I've gone through that as well. Not all of this is meant for this book. Not all of this is even meant for the public. So much of it is my own cathartic experience, its own form of therapy to just
Yeah.
write it and get it out there. And then the magic is in the editing and refining.
I can only imagine.
You're gonna live it very soon. It's coming. It's coming.
How can people connect with you, work with you?
Instagram's my favorite place to connect. Hit me up in the DMs at Carly Ottaway, Ottawa with a Y. You can also follow along with Web of Words at Web of Words with an underscore. Those are the best places. You can check out webofwords.ca. I'm going to have to build up my author website. Luckily, that's what we do. But of course, it's always prioritizing your own work over client work. So that will be another undertaking.
I'll make sure to put that in the show notes. What is a message of hope that you can offer the listeners for those who are wanting to quit or throw in the towel?
Sometimes you need the breakdown for the breakthrough. So hold on through the breakdown, feel it, let it, let yourself be guided through the metamorphosis of that season and know that those seasons don't last forever, even when they feel like they do. I feel like I was in one of those seasons for a very long time, and it was really hard to see what could possibly be on the other side. But if you can hold on and you can trust, if you know this is your calling and you're in alignment in this work, otherwise, I'm all for pivoting and starting something new. I'm a Manny Gen, so let it go if it needs to go. But if you're on to something that is a big dream for you, then just keep going, keep trusting, keep believing in yourself.
The breakdown is the catalyst for the breakthrough. Well, thank you so much, Carly. It's been an absolute honor to be here with you. And I know the Dropped In community is going to be all over this podcast. Thank you for your wisdom.
Thank you so much. It's so fun to be here.
Most people think scaling is about doing more. More strategy, more hours, more effort. Your success isn't about how hard you work. It's about how well your nervous system can hold what you're building. If your body is stuck in survival mode, no strategy in the world will make scaling feel sustainable. You'll stay in the cycle of overthinking, self-sabotaging, pushing harder while getting nowhere. Not because you don't know what to do, but because your system isn't wired to receive what you're working for. That's why I created the Inner Pharmacy Playbook. 143 power pages of real, high-level strategy to regulate your nervous system, rewire resistance, and finally step into momentum that sticks. Because you weren't meant to build your empire through exhaustion. You were meant to build it with ease, clarity, and power. And that starts here. Go to the show notes and grab your copy of the Inner Pharmacy Playbook, because the next level of your business is not about grinding harder. It's about becoming the version of you who can hold it all.